Well, a journey that began in some cases a couple of years ago officially starts today as GVSU football welcomes the newest members of the team and head coach Scott Wooster alongside. I'm Steve Lloyd-Jones. It's kind of like Christmas Day, as we say, for you guys as coaches, but you know all the gifts ahead of time in most cases. So what is this like for you guys?
No, and I think, Steve, first of all, thanks for having us. But, I think with the chaos of college football right now, I think this signing day gets lost a little bit with everyone talking about transfer portal, revenue share, NIL, everything else that's circulating around college football. I think, the signing day experience cannot be forgotten because you take a 17, 18-year-old that might have been dreaming of this for 15 years of their life, right, of making that milestone of officially making it official playing college football. And I think for us, particularly our staff, the way we approach it, the way we do it, it's still a very special day. And guys, that transformational chapter, you're going from a boy or a young man to a man. So much happens from 18 to 22 or 23 years old, and this is the start of that journey, right? And a culmination of a lot of workouts and running and practice and games and all those things, going to camps, going to visits. It all culminates here, but then it's really the beginning of maybe the most change that these young guys will have in their lives. So we can't forget about that, and that's what's so great about here at Grand Valley State is that's part of us. That's who we are, and to celebrate it in this fashion is really, really special.
Well, it's a little different for you guys this year with coaching changes and the like, so everybody getting extra duties. But a class of 36 and very evenly split here, 17 defense, 17 on offense, and a couple of specialists.
Yeah, and I think you could use that word very balanced. And the balanced part of offense to defense, which you mentioned, balanced in a lot of ways. Some guys that we can see having an early impact for us, and then there's some of those guys that I think they will develop into dominant football players down the road. And I also like the word, the term complementary football. I think you'll see that with this class, right? Not just from the offense to the defense and how the numbers laid out, but even within positions. Really felt great as we were going through the ID to the evaluation to the visit process and then started the offering process of how they complemented one another. We'll talk about linebackers, a couple like legit just edge rushers, a couple guys with great instincts playing back off the ball. We can talk about that throughout this list and throughout this signing class. And it creates a word we like to use a lot of that synergy, right? The multiplication effect. It's not addition, 36 guys. It's a multiplication of how they complement one another, offense to defense, and then even within positions.
Well, let's talk about the specific guys of the class. We'll begin on defense, again, 17 total. The linebacking group, as you grab 5 of these guys, and from various states, talk about that.
Yeah, it talked about that complementary nature. And, you take Damian Adioba, and he just physical is probably the word I'd love to use, a downhill. Could see him as a Mike, could probably play a couple different positions for us. And then off the edge, I just mentioned like that edge guy, right? And Alex coming off that edge is just prolific. And, we'll talk about it later, but go back, coach the offensive line and that iron sharpens iron piece. Love watching his tape because the stress he'll put on our tackles in spring ball and fall camp. And then you take a guy, Colton Goethals has really had an awesome season. Finished just a little bit short of the ultimate goal as a high school football player. But he was one of those guys that we didn't ID early in the process, came to camp, and just really caught our eye. And, as we continue to go through the process with him, he's another guy that I think could play a multitude of positions, right? Finishing up Kane Hester, again, not a guy that we were super high on maybe off junior tape, but as we got in the evaluation process, just really bloomed and had an awesome senior year, incredible athlete. And you could see him probably playing in some space because of that athleticism, and then rounding it out with the guy that we got really late in the process, Aiden Scott. And as you watch Aiden Scott's tape, and one of the key evaluation pieces for us, and for me personally, is just the ability to play in a football position. And we call it 345s here, a 45-degree angle in the ankle, knee, and hip. And you watch his tape, and he's in that position all the time, right? And it's a change of direction game. and particularly on the defensive side of the football. And you got to have great flexion in those three joints to do that. And he is just in that perfect football position all the time, and the power that he generates and the athleticism he has. So, like I said, some incredible athletes, some incredible instinctual guys, some guys that can play off the edge, some guys that can play multiple positions, some guys that might be zeroed in on one spot, but really, really balanced. And like I said, that complementary nature of that crew. We talk about the boom core. We got a new coach, but Coach Lewis, I think just really excited about that group coming in for us in 26.
So that's the linebacking crew. Sounds dynamic, no doubt about it. DBs, you get 5 of these guys as well.
Yeah, a couple teammates from Northeast Ohio, Nakari Gay, Keyshawn Shepard, and man, those guys, they had some Division I, committed to a Division I school, and we ended up getting in there and getting them to us, and just length. They can cover ground. They got incredible range. Nakari's a guy that I could see playing, both corner and safety down the road. And we do so much of that in our defense because, we're trying to get the 5 best guys out there, and especially on third down and some of those sub packages when people go 4 and 5 wide receivers. So having the ability to play maybe the boundary corner, but then they want to put their best player in the slot and then go cover them. And I think those are the type of guys that can do that, where they can play the safety, they can play the corner, they can play the money, and just having that versatility back there and having long guys that can really move and run. And you really see that out of those two. A guy right here in the state of Michigan, state champion Reese Hurst, O'Lake, St. Mary's, and he's another guy that's very, very versatile, man coverage guy, and can really, really open up and run. And then guy that we got, again, another late in the process guy, but LG Thompson out of Chandler Park, played quarterback for him. So I think he's one of those guys that just has one of those understanding of the game of football, talking to his high school coach. He was that guy for him, the leader, but the football IQ, and not just on the offensive side of the football, that translated to the defensive side of the football. And so really excited about LJ. And then Julian Harris, was one of those guys that, again, came to camp and just really, really impressed, and got him back for a visit and went through the process with him. And I think his best football is down the road, right, where he can really develop into something special with his length and athletic ability.
Talking about signing day 2026 with head coach Scott Wooster. I'm Steve Lloyd-Jones. Great to have you with us here on the Grand Valley Sports Network. As we shift now to the defensive line, 7 bodies up front. You can never have enough good defensive linemen, and you got a good crop here.
No, it's, again, outside, inside guys, but playing the crush defense, you're looking for explosiveness, but you're looking for physicality, and you're looking for a mindset probably more than anything, just a toughness, because we're going to line up in tight shades, and we're going to take the fight to the offensive line, reset the line of scrimmage, play vertical, and that's what you see out of all these guys on tape. A couple interior guys out of Martin Luther King High School, Greg Keller, big body, physical, but can move, run, has good range. You like to see on those tapes that guys maybe play both sides of the ball, and he did a little bit of that for King. Another guy that we got on a little bit later in the process, but Rodon Love, man, he just huge body. Again, another guy that played a lot of offensive line, played some defensive line, and as you could see the season going on, played more and more, and we really see him as an interior presence in there with that body type. He came in the photo shoot and the visit, and he puts on the jersey, and he's a 290-pound guy that looks like he's 265 pounds in that jersey. Just incredible physical athlete that I could see just, even possibly having an early impact for us. Another guy inside that I just fell in love with early on. Had these May showcases going around school to school, and we've had some great success with guys from Roseville. Coach Snowden over there doing just a remarkable job, and Miles Sharp on the inside, and he's one of those guys, just a motor guy, and just sensed a maturity from him as well. He was kind of beyond his years, a little old soul. Went back and saw him, I think in December, just sitting down with him in the school there. He felt like he was talking to one of our guys, 22, 23-year-old. He's still in high school. But I think he's another guy that could have an impact early because of his development and his maturity. Then a couple other guys that could play inside, outside, but, talk more outside. But Aiden Thomas is one of those guys down there from Kalamazoo, Southwest Michigan. And again, comes to camp and just, you see the athleticism, you see the frame, and then you start digging in on him a little bit more and a little bit more, and there's something really in there. Yeah. And I think that his best football is definitely ahead of him, and he's one of those guys that probably comes in as a defensive end, but who knows, a couple of years with Coach Mitchell in the OD weight room, he could be an interior guy as well. And then on the outside, on the edge, Tyler Maynard, Indiana guy that, you talk about crushed defensive end from a mentality and mindset. He is that. Physical, resets the line of scrimmage, loves to put hands on, just see a toughness from him, whether it be, visit, just being around him, he just exudes that toughness, and then you pop the tape on, and that's what you see. Andre Mead. Andre Mead's an awesome story. Again, didn't know much about him off of junior tape, just north of us, just down the road, but he goes to the Jenison, the Michigan High School Athletic Association camp, and we see him, and just tremendous physical athlete, and we just didn't really know what he was at that time. Played quarterback for them, took him on a playoff run, and just incredible athlete back there. And is he a tight end? Is he a defensive end? And as we went through the process with him, he's going to be a dominant defensive end for us. And again, that upside, because he hasn't played a ton of it yet. So get him with Coach Caruth, get him with Coach Mitchell in the OD, and could really see some great things coming out of him. And then finishing up, again, the Belleville Tigers. We've had some great ones here, and Sean Reed. And as talked about some physicality and toughness, he's got that, but he's also got a little burst. He's got some twitch to him. Really explosive athlete. So one of those guys that could probably loosen up on third down and wreak some havoc. Getting to the passer too. Yeah. Being an all three down guy. So as you look to top to bottom on that list, again, the balance piece of it, some inside guys, some outside guys, some guys that might start outside to develop inside. And then again, the complementary nature, all have that toughness, that physicality that we look for, but, maybe some guys that are, really dominant on first and second down versus a run. Maybe some guys are a little bit better on third down, getting to the quarterback. So, yeah, it all starts up front, being a career offensive line guy, right? Like we're going to win the line of scrimmage, and we're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And Coach Caruth has just been with us for a year, but like what we've done and for history, you go back, for years in this crushed defense, but particularly this last year. And this is his kind of guys, and I can't wait to get him here and get him working with Coach Caruth.
Yeah, absolutely. How much with defensive linemen do you have to project how good these guys are going to be? Because they have to get bigger, they have to learn the college game, more technique. So how much projection is needed? There
is, and you take an Andre Mead that hasn't really played a ton of it, right?
Yeah.
He was the quarterback, a very productive quarterback, like I said, took him on a playoff run. So there's guys like that, but and particularly how we play our front, right? With the tight shades, we are hands-on. We are going through people, resetting the line of scrimmage. So there's just that piece, that learning curve a little bit of going through guys. And that's where, particularly on the interior, I kind of like those guys that have played two ways, because there is that element of getting push, right? Like we are resetting the line of scrimmage, just like, offensively. And you come and watch spring ball, and there's some battles there. We put a camera right down the line of scrimmage. This was an old thing from one of my mentors, Coach Cummings, that he put a camera right down, just see which side gets that surge, right? Yeah. And got a group of dudes that, and we'll talk about the O-line here in a minute, but there'll be some battles here for the next few years, right?
Right. So that's the 17 on defense, talking about the resetting the line of scrimmage. Those are the guys going after the quarterback. Let's shift to the guys protecting the quarterback. Good group of offensive linemen here.
Yeah, and again, you want to talk about the balance and the synergy. And I think one of the cool parts about this group is, you get so wrapped up in some of the measurables sometimes, right? And that's across the board, but particularly at the offensive line, he needs to be 6'5", he needs to be 300 pounds, he needs to have this arm length and everything else. And I think in my experiences, those 6'3" to 6'4" guys with good length and good measurables, but they're not the 6'7" guy, they're not the 6 foot guy, but those guys we've had just tremendous success with, because again, the versatility. And particularly maybe early in their careers, where they can play 3 or 4 spots, or maybe all 5 spots down the offensive line. And I think you'll see a lot of those guys in this group, right? Mattia, a guy that we were on, recruited heavily across the GLIAC, and Mid-America Conference, everything else, and he's one of those guys. Probably has the length to play tackle, has the strength and the power to play guard, has the IQ to play center. So particularly in the year, and then as they mature and grow and progress and develop, now you've got guys that if there are a couple injuries, you can always keep the best 5 on the field, right? Because maybe they've learned it early on, but then a couple guys get injured. Well, maybe he is the starting right tackle, but your left guard goes down, and we can bring in the next best tackle, and he becomes the best guard, right? And there's a lot of guys like that. I think, we go up and down this list. Josh Paramore's another one. It's that 6'3", 6'4", great length, super athlete. Cass Tech, played in a lot of big football games, right? Sure. Blocked a lot of really good players in practice and through his time going through those playoff runs. He's another body type like that. I think Carson Hardy from right down the road, another big, strong, physical guy, probably more of an interior guy, but he's powerlifting right now, super, super physical and strong. Coach Beads, former offensive lineman here, former great here right at Grand Valley State, was his high school head coach. So, he's got the black and blue and that pedigree and that development. Noah Klein had a tremendous year, high school year, made a playoff run right down to the wire there, and has played center. And I like those guys that have already played center and snapped the football.
Oh, yeah.
And they're in a veer offense, so it's getting off the football. And, again, we're talking about that reset line of scrimmage. He's got that mentality of getting after people in that regard. Guy from right down the street here in Hudsonville, Braden Hansen, that played tight end really throughout his whole career. And I say this as, none of us get, we don't want to play offensive line. You don't choose. You get called to play offensive line, right? Like, nobody grows up saying, hey, Dad, let's go out in the front yard
I'm going to block.
Strike each other in the chest as hard as we possibly can. No, they say, go, like, Dad, can we go out and play catch, or big brother, whatever, right?
Right.
You don't say, hey, let's go get our hands on each other and push each other back and forth, right? But he was a tight end all along, and based on some graduation and need, they need him in the offensive line, and he stepped in and had an awesome senior year. And he was coached by a guy that I coached at Wayne, Lane Potter, and did a tremendous job at his development. And he's another one of those guys. Again, length, has that to play tackle, but I think he's got the physicality piece that he could be down the road an inside guy, but he'll be a guy that starts at tackle. And then two other guys that kind of came again later in the process. Jaden Wilson, a really, really good athlete out of Chandler Park. I had a guy that when we were at Wayne, Robert Kelly, came out of there. I see some very similar traits. Really, really good athlete and just really coming into his own. And I think in my history coaching offensive line for a long time, like, these guys are the guys that they grow. They're always bigger. They're always taller. It takes a little bit longer for some of those guys to get the athleticism to catch up with that length and that, right?
Yeah.
And their whole entire life they've been told, you don't know your own strength. Can't. The teachers are always saying, hey, keep your hands off because you're the big kid and all that. And he's one of those guys that just based off senior tape really came into his own. And then Ian Tyson's one of those that hadn't played football before, and another Laker legend, Kyle Short, over at Saline High School, the head coach over there, kind of recruited him out of the hallway, and didn't play much football at all growing up, and came out and played 2 years to high school football. And just to watch a progression from junior to senior tape and how far, and Coach Trez did a great job developing him down the stretch. So maybe some guys that their best football is still ahead of them, right? And then some guys that can get in there and compete early on.
All right, so that's the offensive line, good group up front. Let's go to the wide receivers here. A lot of guys that you can get the football to, playmakers.
Absolutely. And I think, in the advent of the spread offense and 11 personnel, you're looking for some bigger outside guys, and then those, maybe smaller left to right, shiftier guys, right, and the phone booth guys on the inside. And I think, again, that balance piece of it, the complementary nature piece of it. But Tay Redding, is one of those outside guys that, talk about playing the X or playing the Z, but a guy that just absolutely phenomenal ball skills. Like, when the ball's in the air, his hand selection, the way he goes attacks the football is it's incredible. And I told his mom at one of the visits that I've been after a Redding for a long time. His oldest brother, Tio Redding, I was at Wayne State and recruited the heck out of, ended up going to Bowling Green. I think this was 2015, something like that. So took us 11 years, but I finally get to coach at Reading, and just their natural ability to track and go attack the football when it's in the air. I haven't seen something like it. And long, can run, got great range, good route runner. So he's one that just really, really excited about. Like I said, it's been a long time coming for the Reading family, but finally get to coach one. Another outside guy that got committed kind of to late in the process for us a little bit, but Anton Mathis was dinged up a little bit, had some injuries, but when he was out there, extremely productive. And again, the complementary part of it, the balance part of it is, Tay's probably a longer, linear guy, and he's a little bigger, a little thicker, but can, I think, play all three positions, but probably an outside guy because you sense a physicality from him. He's one of those guys that you want to come up and press him. Well, he can play physically off that press, and again, a great hand selection guy that really attacks the football away from his body, and really adept hand selection, attacks the football, and love that about him. Physical blocking and doing all those things. And then one of the longer guys we got that you'd say maybe is that boundary guy a little bit is DeAndre Monroe, another guy from Indiana, but 6'3", 6'4" frame, really long, and sometimes with the 6'3", 6'4" guys, just like we were talking about with offensive line, takes a little bit athleticism catching up, but you see the athleticism, and sometimes those guys, they wait till the ball gets on their body to catch it, right? Yeah. And you can see where he's catching the ball away from his body. He's got great hand selection, so. Some really good outside guys here in this class, and then maybe a little bit more of the inside guys, but I think had the versatility to move outside. Braylon Burnside, Ike Eagle, Eisenhower High School over in Shelby Township. We've had some good ones, right? We've had some really good ones from Ike, so he's a long line of Eagles to Lakers, and he's dynamic in the return game. You throw him the bubble, can hand it to him. Good down the field. So, again, like those versatile guys that are almost positionless guys, right, that, they're wide receivers, but they've got vision like a running back in some of the RPO and screen game. And then those guys make really good returners as well. And then the other two, Dalen Taylor, ended up transferring to Grand Blanc for his senior year, so an A10 guy. Again, I think his value that he brought his high school team, and then great season for them at Grand Blanc. The Bobcats had a great year, and to see him transfer in there and the value he created for himself so quickly there and the impact he had, that showed a lot to us in terms of what they thought of him. And I think that will translate to us too. Again, a guy that can kick return, punt return. You can throw him the bubble. You can throw it to him downfield. He runs the jet sweep. He's got vision like a running back, and just that versatility. Coach Reinhardt, who we'll talk about here in a minute, can really cook with those type of guys that can have different skill sets. And then Braden Platt, he's another one that the feel he has for the game of football and just feeling space. And particularly in the RPO game and the quick game, I say this all the time about the throw game overall, passing the football. It's just so much about time and space. It's not about lines in a playbook or lines you draw, right? Coverage and everything else, and the way defenses are disguising it is you got to be able to feel space and find space and be connected with the quarterback on that. And you see that from him. He's got tremendous instinct and feel. And it's so important in the RPO game when that quarterback's disconnected and he's ready to throw the football, right. And you better be in that spot. Well, I better be doing it like this because it's Schuster, right, left-handed. But you need to be in that spot that he expects you to be in, and he's got that feel. So, again, extremely balanced, the complementary nature of it, the synergy of this group, some outside guys, some inside guys, but some guys that can do a lot of different things for us.
Yeah, a lot of versatility. We're talking about the offense for Grand Valley. Signing day 2026, 17 on defense, 17 on offense. That was 6 of those guys on the offense for the wide receivers. 1 tight end now. Yeah. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, and that was a group that we've got some depth and didn't go after multiple ones, but we found the right one, and Dylan Edgeworth, and I love that name for him, right? To be a tight end, setting the edge, right? But tight end is probably one of the most difficult recruiting positions there is, because you talk about projection on the defensive line, Steve, right? And to be able to project a tight end into a college offense, right? And to get a complete tight end.
Yes.
A guy that can put his hands on a defensive end and set the edge, right? Edge works, we like that part of it. But set the edge and run our pin and pull, dig out a defensive end on the backside of a tight zone, and power and some of those things. The hips to go block on wide zone and some of the run game, a linebacker or a safety. But then in the RPO game, the slider and the hips and the flexibility and some of those things to catch the ball and do something with it afterwards. Can we split them out and can be a threat, you know, at creating a mismatch on a smaller corner? Can he block on the perimeter, have the feet and the hips, and then can he run the 4 vertical and the vertical pass game and stretch people down the seam? Like, that's a tough ask, right? And you take an athlete like Dylan is, and he's got that in him, right? And he's a guy that played a ton of defense for Coach Lemons at Brighton, and you know, really, really physical. You can see the hands go on people. And as we went through the process and camps and visit and all that, like, you can see where, you know, he can do all those things that we just said. So many times you got a first and second down tight end that's a really good run blocker, maybe a little bit in the, you know, play action pass game, but a guy that can legitimately stay on the field all 3 downs and do all those things that I just asked. That's a huge ask, right? So it's a projection position, but Coach Cooper went through all these guys, and like, this is our guy that we can see doing all those jobs.
Very nice. So that's the 1 tight end, 2 running backs that you grab.
Yeah. So Lem Grayson, and I think, again, you talk about that versatility piece, and awesome junior tape, but popped on the senior tape mid-season, or, you know, maybe the second 2/3 of the season, and I already loved him, just fell completely in love with him, because about his first 2 or 3 clips on there are the +1 lead hat blocking, and I'm like, that's our guy, right? Because again, that bunta piece, like that brotherhood piece that we talk about, like, that's what he's putting first on his highlight tape, is taking care of the guy behind him and blocking for somebody else. Yeah, he's an awesome runner of the football, but that just showed me exactly who he is as a person. So again, guys that bring versatility in that position, you know, across the board, we're going to run the football, and we're going to be dominant up front, and we're, you know, a lot of guys that we could go recruit that, but how much versatility, how many jobs can that guy do? And can he be the +1 lead hat when we run the quarterback or a jet sweep? Is he a great pass protector when we're throwing the football?
Yes.
And then when you look at our run game, we're a multiple run game where we're going to have some zone runs, we're going to have some gap scheme runs, we're going to get the ball on the perimeter. Do you have all that in your bag? A lot of times you can see, well, this guy's a really good zone runner, he's a really good edge perimeter runner, he's a really good gap scheme runner, filling the second puller and those things. But when you got a guy that sees zone, sees the off tackle, the wide zone, sees a pin and pull in the perimeter, sees the gap scheme, got great hands, can catch it out of the backfield, can, you know, play in the RPO in the screen game, and has the physicality and willingness to block, like, that's a complete guy. And then Jacoby Goodrich, another 810 guy. Coach Hallward over there, just phenomenal for all these years. They were in our conference back in the day, and actually played against Coach Hallward's son back in the day. But he has just done such a remarkable job. Won the state championship a couple years ago, and they're always in that playoff run. And you see that from Jacoby, very similar skill set, right? The willingness to, and the physicality and the willingness to protect the quarterback, be a blocker. But he was just such a big-bodied, explosive back too. You know, a lot of times you see those big bodies that can get you 4s and 5s. Well, he's a big body that can make that 14 and 40, right? And that shows up on his tape over and over and over again. Again, guy that can catch it out of the backfield, really versatile guy, and the utility and value those guys bring on special teams as well, right? And we're going to talk about a couple specialists here, but, you know, when we're talking about those linebackers, we're talking about DBs, we're talking about up and down the list here. You know, when you're talking about a multitude of skill sets of guys that can do a lot of jobs, well, they can do a lot of jobs in special teams too, right? And again,
especially early.
Absolutely. You know, I talked about that in the offensive line of creating value to get yourself on that bus and get yourself on that field. But with a lot of these skill guys, it's through special teams. So,
no doubt. So that's the 2 running backs. one quarterback in just a moment we'll get to, but you were talking specialists. Those guys are critically important, and they will come through to win you games when they execute well, and let's talk about them.
Yeah, and we've been so blessed, right? Trey Sergich just finished up, and he's one of those guys, when we needed 55 to flip the field, he did that. When we needed inside the 5, he put it on the 1, and I think these guys have that in their DNA as well. I remember, I'd put a text message out every Friday about their game that day, and just staying up with these guys. And a couple of times these guys had some big games. Sean O'Neill, Almont, they've, again, another great program, and you can hear that over and over, championship programs. They've been in those moments, they've been in those games. And I text our two specialists every week, get ready to go kick that game winner. And I got you, coach. So, again, the specialist is probably as much about mindset as it is leg talent, right? Yeah. And I think these guys have it. We do a specialist camp every summer, and that's where these guys come out of. You watch the tape and Coles and all the recruiting services, but we want to get them here and create kind of some of those game-like environments, be the best when it means the most environments here in camp. And both these guys just absolutely crushed it. And Sean's one of those guys, a bigger body guy. He's not just a specialist, he's an athlete. He's a football player. He plays multiple sports. But I see his upside just continuing to grow and grow and grow because of the physical athlete he is and the mindset. And then Joseph, Grand Valley State alum again, Kurt Reines, coach, Romeo team, and they've, again, played in that MAC Red. They've been in those games. He's had those moments where that ball goes down. You got to make it to win the football game for your team, right? But he's just got that, almost that smirk on his face, and I can just see it going out there to kick that game winner. You just kind of look over and he's got that smirk like, we'll be good, coach, right? And he's just got that cool, calm confidence, right? And, just body type wise, he's not the biggest guy, but just incredible leg talent. And he's got, again, that mindset and that makeup to go be the best when it means the most.
Well, he wants the moment.
Yeah.
Some guys maybe run from it, or I hope it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
But a guy who
you
wants
want guys
it.
that say,
give me a chance.
Yeah, you don't need to throw no more. Hey, coach, you can just kneel this thing out and send me out there.
I'll get it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, winding down this group of 36, one quarterback, and comes from Indiana.
Yeah, Homestead High School. And you want to talk about a physical athlete now. Big, long. I think he was a 22.5, 23-foot long jumper, explosive. And as we were going through the process, watching the ball come off his hand is different. I think that's just that ball pops off his hand, and just a fast twitch guy, right? A lot of what you call white muscle fiber in that body in terms of his explosiveness. So, in terms of a guy that can really, really throw the football and the arm talent, and you want that big, strong arm playing in West Michigan, and we're going to play a home game probably on, what would it be, December 13th, 14th, whatever, in the national semifinal, and the wind's blowing here and everything else. You need a big, strong arm. But in some of the things that we want to do in terms of distributing the football and the RPO and the quick game and some of those, like the ball's got to come out quick, right? And a lot of times you see those guys with that big arm, well, they've got a big, long release. Well, you got a guy with the arm strength and the arm talent, but then it's an efficient where it can get out quick and be precise. And we saw those things from Michael through the process. And then, again, the physical athlete piece of it, where you got to count for him in the +1 run game, in the read and the pull game, and the drop back game. If he doesn't like the progression, 1, 2, 3, like there he goes, he takes off. And he's a big, long, striding guy that's extremely quick twitch. So, again, it's, I talked about it at tight end. That's a tough ask, right? A lot of times you can get that guy that's just that super distributor. The football can process at a high rate, or guys that are really athletic, but to get that, get them both, and that's, I think, what we got in Michael White.
Very nice. All right, that's the 36, the newest members of the Laker football team here. Signing Day 2026. When we come back, some new additions to the coaching staff. We'll tell you about that next here on the Grand Valley Sports Network. Thanks for staying with us here on the Grand Valley Sports Network. Signing Day 2026. We went through the newest members of the team, and now some new coaches for Grand Valley, 3 of which are part of the program right now. A couple new signings to come, but 3 new guys. Yeah. Tell us about them.
No, it restructured this off season, and just so excited. able to bring a guy that put the black and blue on, played in Lumber Stadium. And I'll say this, I was on the other sideline for quite a few years, right? And Matt Judon, Zach Seiler, a couple of these guys, just dominant players that all week you're trying to figure out a way to block. And maybe the most disruptive, the toughest guy I ever had to game plan for in terms of trying to find a way to block him was Marquez Goldman as a football player.
He's versatile.
And now to have him on our coaching staff, but and not just, not every great player is a great coach, but I think there is a skill set and a makeup, especially when it's a player like Marquez was. Because he would walk in and you wouldn't say like that's the toughest guy to ever block in the GLIAC.
No,
maybe.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But he found a way, right? And it was through his football IQ, is how he saw the game, how he was coached by Coach Lewis, and so I think a lot of that translated to him as a coach. So he chased the professional dream, went out to the 49ers, did some IFL, AFL stuff, and then it was a crazy story. We were playing at Wayne State, and Coach Lewis sees him there. He's a Southeast Michigan guy, Ypsi guy. Sees him there at the games. Quez, how you doing? They dap it up, hug it up, and did you finish your degree? Because he left to go chase this pro degree. Nah. So we get him back in 2022 as a student assistant, finishing up his degree, and I was still the offensive line coach at the time, but I saw there just the way he approached it, the way he studied the game. I became the head coach in the winter of 23 there, and every single meeting, that's when I really started to notice it. Every single meeting he's in the back, and every place I saw him, he had a notebook, right?
Oh,
He
wow.
was just taking notes and taking it all in. He had the opportunity to go down to Louisiana Tech as a graduate assistant, had a phenomenal mentor DB coach down there, a veteran guy that's been there and done it. And again, Marquez's growth mindset, he learned so much and grew so much there, had the ability to go take his own room at University of Texas Permian Basin last couple years, and number 2 pass defense in the country, make it to a regional championship in a relatively young program, and done just an incredible job with the back end of that defense. And you can see it, and just again the growth where he went in 3 or 4 years. It was amazing how much he grew as a coach. And then the recruiting piece of it too, tireless recruiter, great talent evaluator. So yeah, that one was an easy one, right? And had some tremendous candidates there, but Marquez killed it. And then made the decision to move the 4th coach on defense, and again restructure, move some things around, adapting to what college football is in 25 going into 26 in the future. But putting the 4th coach on defense, and we'll let Coach Lewis be kind of what is termed as a walk-around defensive coordinator, right? And use his expertise on all 3 levels of the defense.
Oh, okay.
And then from a Saturday calling the game standpoint, just let him be in that coordination mindset. And with that, we're able to hire a linebacker coach, and Steve Gardner. And from a special team standpoint too, like he just absolutely stood out. And I've known Coach Gardner a long time. He's a guy that's back. He actually GA'd here in 2013, but Michigan State guy. He's from Columbus, Ohio. Plays ball at Michigan State. Does some GA and analyst work at Michigan State. Coached in the GLIAC. Got a chance to go down coach in the GMAC. And from a special team standpoint, from the way his linebackers played, and then that staff from Tiffin when he was down the GMAC went down, coached some FCS football, and just the big picture of what value and impact he will bring in terms of the special teams and that third of the game, and the level of detail, but how simple and sound it is, and how aggressive his special teams units have been and will be here. That one was awesome too, just a phenomenal fit. And again, talk about that balance, complementary synergy, like use those words. But in terms of a defensive staff with Coach Kruth and Coach Lewis in there, and then bringing in Coach Goldman and Coach Gardner, got some of those guys that extremely high energy, some really cerebral how they see it, and then some guys in between. So super, super excited about our defensive staff and where we can go in the development, in the day-to-day, in the relationships, all these guys. Again, it's that transformational piece that we opened with. College football is becoming so transactional. These are guys that love the players they're coaching, and they're awesome teachers, and they're great mentors, right? And it's, that 17, 18-year-old young man boy that these guys will help grow into being a man and set them up for their next 50. And so, Yeah, defensive side of the football and special teams, really, really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely, with Marquez and Steve. And then offensive coordinator, you make a new hire and a guy going to bring in some fresh ideas here.
Yeah. So I think I've known Coach Reinhardt since he's probably been in 8th or 9th grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so again, going back to the 810, right, Genesee County, the heart of everything, all right? But it used to be the GEC, the Genesee 8 Conference, and now I think it's the Genesee Area Conference. But I went to Burton Atherton, and then right up the road was Montrose High School. And so Coach Reinhardt, Denny Reinhardt, Coach Eli's dad, coached there, I think it's over 40 years now, grew up in Montrose. And so, all the way back to my playing days, knew of, Montrose, and they were a power. Guy that's coaching up the road here, Coach Anise, got that program going. Well, Coach Reinhardt took that program over. When I got back to college football, I recruited that area, and Eli would be there. Every time I go in to see Coach Reinhardt, there was Eli all the way through high school. Started his career in the GLIAC, bounced around a little bit, and then made his way down to Texas. And it was kind of one of those leap of faith things, and then just absolutely went off and just tore it up. Got to North Crowley, 6A school. Texas high school football is kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah,
and
a little bit.
And talk about those crowds versus Duncanville, 20,000 people.
20,000.
But as we went through this OC process, and it was an exhaustive search, we went, nationwide search and talked to probably in the neighborhood of 35 or 40 different guys for this job because the nature of college football, you have to score now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, field position. Yes, play great defense. Yeah, dominate on special teams, but you have to be able to score points in this day. And what defenses are doing now with some of the disguise, free safety stuff, all the different things that are going on, you need to be able to manipulate that and score. And it kept on coming back to Coach Reinhardt. I had talked to him back in 2024 when we made the last hire, and then with his experiences at North Crowley, going to win a state championship, and then he went and took another leap of faith, became a high school head coach at Huddle High School. And that's what really got me because now he understood the big picture of it, right? Okay. Understood what, field position meant, the time management pieces. And as we got talking through the interview process of how he sees the game, it was a no-brainer. And the thing that really, really stood out about Coach Reinhardt is it's just a core philosophy, fundamental principle of mine and this goes back to the Jim Tressel days, Youngstown State to Ohio State, make sure your A's get A's. Make sure your best impact the game when it means the most, right? And that's exactly what Coach Reinhardt believes in too. There's such an alignment there. And formationally and the way he can move guys around to get them the football. And we just talked about versatility and using guys in different ways and positionless football. We got 3 quarterbacks on the roster right now that are pretty talented, right?
Yeah, you sure do.
The ability to get those guys on the field together, and complement each other's skill sets. And got a guy, Kellen Reed, and some of these skill players that we have, and he just has the ability to move those guys around. I think the year at North Crowley, I might get these numbers confused, but he had a wide receiver had 85 catches, and just in every, like he's got this shot chart. You remember the Steph Curry shot charts?
Yeah.
Well, he's got that, right? Like he tracks that week to week of where we're getting these guys the football, and it's like 53 1/3 to 50 yards down the field, the entire field that he's going to threaten you and make you defend with a multitude of guys. And, when they're at North Crowley, had a 1,500-yard rusher, a 1,500-yard reception, quarterback threw for 4,000 yards, right? Like those are the type of things where it's a nightmare to defend, especially with the skill set that we have currently on our roster, and then we just signed today. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, and again, another one of those guys. He's a teacher, right? He's a mentor. The relationship piece of it, like it's a package deal.
Oh, that's great. So those are the 3 new names for Grand Valley as coaches. Again, 2 more hires going to be announced soon. But one thing that will shift a little bit is you're going to go back to your offensive line coaching portion of that as well, in your history.
Yeah, and I think I always kind of felt this and knew this. I've heard it said multiple times, well, what got you this position? Well, it was me coaching the offensive line, right? And there was a skill set that I developed throughout the years and had some incredible mentors along the way to do that. But that's, we talk about elite traits, and I didn't talk about it too much here, but when we're looking at a junior tape, a senior tape, or in a camp eval, like we're looking for what is that elite trait that guy has?
Okay.
What's that superpower he has, right? And that's my skill set is coaching the offensive line. Yeah, leader of men, leading the football team, but that's what I do as well as anybody around. So, going to go back, coach the offensive line. Did some of that late last year, and it's almost therapeutic, right? But again, it's just the teaching element of this and the relational element of it, of being around those guys on the day-to-day. That's why we do this. So, people ask about what's your why. It's teaching, leading, right? But it's coaching. It's with the guys, right? And so super fired up about getting back with those guys. And
well, maybe
running the football. Protecting that quarterback.
Maybe no group sets the tone of a game more than offensive line. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they just really put an imprint.
You look at it. There's 5 offensive linemen on the field at all times, right? How many quarterbacks? One running back.
Usually just one.
We might have 3, but one running back.
Yeah.
Maybe 3, 4 wide receivers, 1 or 2 tight ends, 4 D linemen, 3 linebackers. If you're in a nickel or dime set, maybe there's 5 DBs, but typically there's 4. Well, there's 5 offensive linemen. So just by numbers alone, you better have the biggest impact on the game.
Yeah.
And then we're the biggest bodies, right? The offensive line's the biggest body. So, you have to set that tone. You have to pave the way. You have to lead the football team. And if you want a tough football team, a physical football team, where's that start?
Yeah, offensive line.
And again, this goes back to some core ideologies to me of just, again, I grew up Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes, and Bo Schembechler. If you can't run the football, you can't defend the run.
Yeah.
Because in spring ball and fall camp, you just become barn blind. If your team can't run the football, well, we think we can stop the run, but if you can't run it, they don't know that, right?
Know it, yeah.
But if you can run the football, now you can stop and eliminate the run. You know that you can do that, right? In that physicality. And then like we talked about, it's championship ball, particularly our geographical location. Mm-hmm. It's going to snow. The wind's going to blow. You have to set the tone and run the football up front. And for me, being a career offensive line guy, I don't want loaded boxes to run the football. So we're going to throw the ball and create great balance. To make our lives easier. And that's, again, that complementary nature, that synergy piece of it.
That's right. Well, new names there in the coaching staff, some additional roles for you as well, but should be great as we look forward to the upcoming season. Speaking of which, up next, a look at the schedule for 2026 as we continue on the Grand Valley Sports Network. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to talk about the schedule here coming up in just a moment. But, Coach, tell us about the realities of the transfer portal, what you have to deal with. Those can be good and bad, but how's that been?
Yeah. I think I opened with, a little bit of the chaos of college football. And, everyone wants to talk about portal and NIL and all that. And, again, back to the signing days and what a special day it is. But, yeah, in every portal cycle, I think there was a kind of a pattern emerging throughout the years. And then went to a one window cycle, right?
Yeah.
So from a Division I standpoint, there was just the one window in January. So that pattern completely kind of flipped on its head a little bit. But coming out of the season, there were some guys that we had that just had some tremendous opportunities with college football. And really the opportunity to make some, lack of a better term, life-changing money and some great opportunities to do that. And it was awesome to see those guys develop, go through the process and have those opportunities. There's some other guys that it was a little bit frustrating with, right? Because knowing deep down that it was a mistake to go in the portal. It was a mistake because maybe a couple other guys have these opportunities, but not you, right?
Yeah,
and to see them go in and bottom line end of the day is one is what we play college football for is it's that brotherhood, right? It's the relationships of, for the next 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, you got some people in your corner when all those things in life hit, right? And are you going to have that if you're transferring from school to school to school, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the hard part of it, but it is the reality of it.
Sure.
And then, some guys that maybe if that's not the right fit, they go to another school, and then if they don't graduate, again, that's what college football, it gives you a seat at the table. You earn this education, you graduate, and for the next 50 years, you're set, and that's what we love about it. So there's some, just like anything else, there's some phenomenal success stories, and then there's some, the horrible part of it. And I liken it to this: it's capitalism. That's who we are as a country, and capitalism really benefits probably 5% of America, and then the rest doesn't benefit so well. And that's, I think, a little bit what the portal is right now. Like, there's 5% of the student athletes that are making out, and it's phenomenal for. But it doesn't work that way for everybody, and that's the hard part that keeps me up at night. Is when a guy might play his last meaningful down of football because he got in the portal, or a guy might not graduate because that wasn't the right spot, so he goes to another spot, and credits don't transfer, and at the end of the day, he doesn't get what college football is really there for, is those relationships and that degree. So kind of crazy, but there's no better place in the country than to do it right here at Grand Valley State because of, one, I do believe is our culture, the tradition, the history of Grand Valley State, but the experience that our athletic department and that we provide in the football program, that we're able to retain our best football players and guys that understand what this is and what this means to put on the black and blue, and to be a Laker and to be a Laker for a lifetime. And so we had, I think, 11 guys go in the portal this cycle. We got one back, so 10 guys going out. We were able to sign 11 guys coming in. And again, you talk about opportunity, and we use that nowhere now here. And well, opportunity is nowhere for some guys that have made that decision. You have the freedom of choice. You don't have the freedom of consequence, but that also creates an opportunity for somebody else. And I heard it was once said a long time ago, there's no such thing as a wasted opportunity because somebody's going to take advantage of it. And we found 11 guys that are going to take advantage of it. So got those guys in the mid-year, and we've already started in the Odie and the Kelly and some of our winter workouts. And just say we're excited about some of those guys, the immediate impact they have on our roster, and just the cultural fit, who they are too. I've seen them interact in the locker room, in the weight room, in the Odie, and seeing those guys get along and develop those relationships. So, yeah, really good spot roster-wise.
Very good, very good. Well, here we are in February, but the season will come quickly, and you're going to have, of course, a nice slate of home games, some really good ones to look forward to. Tell us about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I know whether it be radio show or some of these, we've lamented over the last couple of years, particularly of 2025, of our schedule situation.
Yes.
And the challenges, but the ability in our athletic administration and to be able to go get 26 and really getting close on 27, 28. But this schedule is phenomenal. Getting the opportunity to go play a team we haven't played before, get on the road before school starts, go down to West Virginia, play University of Charleston. That's a great football team. They won their conference a year ago, and they've been a playoff football team. It'll be a great challenge right out of the gate. And then coming back, got West Texas A&M. Again, another team that's a great football team from the Lone Star Conference, knocking on the door of the playoffs, knocking on the door of a conference championship. And the style they play is different, too, in terms of they got a new offensive coordinator, but they've been pretty wide open and spreading the field. So that'll be a great challenge for us in preparation for down the road. And then kind of one of those maybe a little bit of a rivalry from the past, getting Ashland Eagles back on the slate. And that is just such a big step, is getting the GMAC back and playing Ashland. And, again, just a physical football team, I think, very similarly built to us in terms of how physical, run the ball, eliminate, stop the run, explosive offense. So those first three right out the gate, just an awesome schedule, the challenges it presents and getting us ready, but also just, being able to play some different football teams that we haven't played a ton before, a Charleston and West Texas A&M from the Lone Star Conference, and then, one of these maybe renewed rivalries a little bit, a team that we're very familiar with or were very familiar with from the old GLIAC. And so then playing Judson at home for Family Day will be a great game, and then we'll have that bye and then getting the GLIAC schedule. So it's incredible. I think season tickets right around the corner here, I think March 1st or something to that effect. So great home slate. Got a couple more night games, a couple more 7 o'clock kicks that I know that everyone loves. So Yeah, couldn't be more excited. Couldn't be happier about one. We're in February and we got 11 games.
Yes,
It's just such a relief of
that is such a big
the
deal.
man hours and the time, the people hours
Yeah.
that we went into that last year of just getting the 9th game and the 10th game and then going to work on the 11th game and thinking we had it and we didn't have it. So just to have that is just such a great feeling. And then who we're playing. It's not just having the 11 games, but having such a great non-conference schedule in particular. Having the anchor bone back home.
That's right.
I think homecoming's earlier than it's ever been against Wayne State, which that'll be a great one. So, yeah, really fired up about having won 11 games and then who we're playing.
That's right. Go to gvsulakers.com for more info on that as well, and for all that info along with season tickets too. All right, before we sign off, we want to give you an opportunity to thank those involved in this signing process. Recruiting, like I said at the top, there's years invested in people, and it's a lot of people who do this work, isn't it?
Yeah. No, and I just appreciate that opportunity because, you know, I'm the one that gets to get on camera and talk about all these guys, but just the amount of work that goes into signing a class like this and the people behind that and the coaches from, you said it, I mean, it might be 2 years, 3 years that, you know, the coach introduces them to as a sophomore, as a junior, and then, you know, starting in that junior process from ID to evaluating the junior tape to getting them on campus on a junior day to camps to the visit to game day visits to, you know, the official visit. It just, there's so much work that goes into that from the coaching standpoint, and we get these guys committed. Recruiting is accelerated now. A lot of times in July, we probably had 20 to 25 of these guys committed. So just staying with them and continuing to build that relationship from August, September, October, November, December, all the way to February. And NCAA, let's work on getting that early signing date. But yeah, so just the time, the relationship, all the, you know, the efforts that go into that, the time away from families to go see these guys at high school games and everything else. And then the support staffs, the athletic administration, Tim Knott and his crew coming over and taking pictures, photo shoot. Dr. Damon Arnold coming over and using his time in July, and we know how beautiful summers are on the west side of the state of Michigan in July, and he's part of that. And we've got just a phenomenal operations staff. It's National Women in Sport Day today, which, being a girl dad, that's a really important day to me. And Maddie Dickinson and Danica and all the recruiting operation people. Our GAs, you know, going on tours and getting vans, and Natalie Marshall. Just so many people go into this to make the visits memorable and to make it a different experience every time they come on campus. I just can't thank those people enough, and just so many of those people, right, that make this special. And again, it's such a special day. You know, it's a culmination of work. It's the new beginning to a dream. You know, and what's coming, but so many people make this so special. The parents, junior day camp, right, and gas isn't cheap, and them, you know, so thanking the parents of the you know, these prospects and welcoming them, because it's a family thing here at Grand Valley State, and the tailgate and being part of it. So the parents going through this, and I'm reminded all the time every year, and again, my daughter's getting into this recruiting process a little bit, but we do this as coaches every year.
Yeah.
They do it. This is the first time, and maybe, you know, hopefully, again, portal-wise, hopefully the only time, right? But the anxiety and all those things that go into it, so I just thank them for hanging and banging with us, going through this thing. The high school coaches, it's hard right now. Recruiting's changed so much over the last couple of years, and they're getting so much pressure from their parents of, why isn't my kid getting recruited? Well, because all the Division I's are recruiting our roster, they're not recruiting high school kids, right? Yep. And so they're under the pressure and they're under the gun a little bit. And so the high school coaches want to thank them from us, particularly our Michigan high school coaches, but from our recruiting footprint. You know, when we get guys from these programs, we just talked about the championship programs and the playoff runs, but the development when they get here in terms of the maturity and taking care of their business and being squared up and being ready to play the game. And we're playing guys earlier and earlier. And so the high school coaches have just done such a tremendous job of the physical athlete and the positional player and the maturity that want to thank them. And then finally, just our prospects, right? For, again, some staff changes through this. We didn't have the year that is the standard at Grand Valley State, and for a group of 36 guys to believe in where we're going and what's happening here, I just want to thank them, personally thank them from the bottom of my heart. And had a couple guys that flipped commitments, and they made their decisions, and we'll have to make ours, and that's, you have the freedom of choice, you don't have the freedom of consequence, right? But these 36 guys, just I want to say thank you, because they hung with us, some cases from July on to February 4th. So many people to thank, and so many people make this so special, and that's what Grand Valley State is.
Yeah.
It's the people.
Yeah, no, it's a team effort.
And now we got 36 new Lakers.
That's right. That's right. The family grows as
Yes.
you get these new guys coming in, and fun to hear about them. Thank
Yeah.
you, Scott. Well, and we wish you the best. As you know, people think, oh, what do you guys do? Go on vacation, and show up
Yeah.
in August? No, there's a lot of work. I mean, you've got spring ball and
2 more coaches to finalize.
Yeah,
We got one
yeah.
coming in tomorrow. He'll be our general manager, and finishing up that. And then, the winter conditioning piece of it, getting, the off-season development, which probably I love more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Game days are awesome, and especially at Lubber Stadium, what a great. But I love February, just
Okay.
because it's when football players are made. It's when you go from that boy to man, going through some hard stuff together, and going through the snow to do it here. And, but I love February, and then, like you said, spring ball, and then maybe a little portal, all that stuff, the madness, go back to the chaos of college football, but then get into the evaluation of the 2027s, which we're starting with already. So getting those guys back on campus, visiting, and then getting ready for our camp. So,
well, you guys are always busy, but a great job as always, and thanks for sharing that info and your time.
no, thanks for having us, and always a great time with you, Steve.
Yeah. Good seeing you. I miss our times. We always say that every
I know.
February.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that since the fall, but no, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you, Scott. All right. That'll wind down our coverage here. Signing Day 2026. Thanks for joining us on the Grand Valley Sports Network.